So what's happening, people? It's me again, Courtney, doing my MMA predictions. This time it's for UFC on Versus. This is the second time I've done the event on Versus. It will take place on Sunday, the 1st of August 2010 at the San Diego Sports Arena in the US of A. Main event on this card is John Jones versus Vladimir Matyushenko. John Jones, everyone knows about this guy. I'm trying to think of a nickname for him, but I can't think of one yet. He's 6'4", he's got a 10-1 record. The one loss coming via disqualification to Matt Hamill. John Jones, very unorthodox, quick, agile. Even for a big, even if he was smaller, he'd still be quick, as described as quick and agile. Because this guy moves like a flipping ninja. Got great takedowns, some funky ass takedowns as well. Some big sweeps. Throws, judo throws, wrestling throws, everything. He's got all. But I've noticed in his fight against Stephan Bonner, if he gets to later rounds, he can get really tired because of the pace that he's going. He gets tired. Obviously, that happens. But he may learn to pace himself since he's switched camps to Greg Jackson's camp. In his last fight, he was a win against Brandon Vera. I actually picked Vera to win. I didn't think John Jones would win in the way that he did, smashing Vera's head open with the elbow. But in his last 5 fights, he's had 4 wins and 1 loss. The 1 loss was a DQ against Matt Hamill. And he's fighting a veteran of the sport, Vladimir the Janitor Matyushenko. He's got a 24-4 record. He's 6'1". This guy's veteran in the sport. Has been fighting all over the world. I think he's a former IFL champion. He's fought in the IFL. He's fought in Affliction. Fought all over the place. Most of his wins have come via decision. He's got a good ground and pound. He's got decent wrestling as well, good wrestling. I think he's changed up his training regime slightly, doing more strength and conditioning. But yeah, his last fight was a win in the UFC was against Elliot Marshall via decision. His last 5 fights, he's had 4 wins and 1 loss. The 1 loss was against Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, and that was in Affliction. He was doing all right until he got. I think he got knocked out. Yeah, he got knocked out. But yeah, for this fight, I'm gonna have to go with the majority. I think most people think that John Jones is gonna smash Matyushenko easily, but I think John Jones will win, but not as easy as everyone thinks it's gonna be. If he does, fair play to him, but I don't think it's gonna be easy as that. I think Matyushenko is actually probably evolved a bit more than some of the fighters that he was. Back in the day when he was fighting, everyone was at that level. But I think he's evolved, so I think he's shared up his training. But anyway, I'm still picking John Jones to win. Next fight on the card is Yushin Akami versus Mark Munoz. Yushin Akami, what do they call him? Thunder. 6'2", he's got a 24-5 record. This guy's big, man. Every time I see him, I just think he just looks bigger and bigger for middleweight. Jeez, man, he's massive. Very strong guy. Ask Mike Swick. Got decent wrestling. Most things have come via decision. I think, he's only been TKO'd once in his career, and he's not been finished since 2003. His last fight in the UFC was a win against Lahares. I can't remember his first name. Sorry. But he actually finished that fight, so I think he's learning to finish fights. In his last 5 fights, he's had 4 wins and 1 loss, and the 1 loss was via decision. He's fighting Mark Munoz, the Filipino wrecking machine. 6 foot, he's got an 8-1 record. I think he's a Division 1 wrestler. He's got a very good ground and pound, as Kendall Grove found out. He's got good survival, good survival against submissions. If you watch the Kendall Grove fight, Kendall Grove had him a few times and he managed to survive and get out of it. He got very heavy hands as well, and he always aims to finish the fight. In his last fight, he beat Kendall Grove by a TKO. Kendall Grove got smashed. In his last 5 fights, he's had 4 wins and 1 loss. For this fight, I'm going to go with Akami, because Akami's just one of the guys. He just smothers you and just. Some people might put class as boring, but he just smothers people and just keeps them down all the time, But I'm picking Akami to win that via decision. But Munoz not to be messed around with, not to be with, you know what I mean. Next fight on the card is Jake Ellenberger versus John Howard. To be honest, I don't know too much about these fighters. I can only go off what I've seen in the UFC. Jake Ellenberger, he's a 6 foot. He's got a 22-5 record. Very heavy hands. Finishes most of his fights. His last fight was a win against Mike Pyle via TKO. His last 5 fights, he's had 4 wins and 1 loss. The 1 loss came against Carlos Condit, which was a razor-thin decision, I think, personally. Condit was lucky he never got knocked out. John Howard, or Doomsday, he's got a 14-4 record. This guy's 5'7", he's welterweight. I think in one of my other videos I bet against him because of his size. I didn't know much about him, but bet against him because of his size. Because he's fighting Tamden McCrory, and McCrory's like 6'2" or something, but he beat Tamden McCrory. John Jones has got heavy hands. John Howard has got very heavy hands. He's got good boxing. He's got a lot of heart as well. His last fight was against that jiu-jitsu guy Daniel Roberts. Wow, it was like he was in Daniel Roberts' open guard. He just came over with the left, bang, hit him with the left, bang, 1 shot, knocked him out cold. In his last 5 fights, he's had 5 wins. But you know, this is a tough fight for him. But as I said, I don't know too much about these fighters. I can only go with what I've seen. But I'm gonna go with John Howard. Doomsday. I'm gonna go with. I'm not sure how, but I'm gonna go with Doomsday. Ellenberger can take a punch, but I'm gonna go with Doomsday either via decision or maybe a submission. You know, don't know. But anyway, that's one of the dark horses in that. That would be a good fight. That would be a good stand-up brawl. That will be. Next fight on the card is Takanori Gomi versus Tyson Griffin. This is another fight that could have been probably a main event. Takanori Gomi, 5'8", he's got a 31-6 record, very well experienced guy, former Pride champion, former Shuto champion. Got decent wrestling, good hands as well. Not so great as he showed in the UFC in his last fight against Kenny Florin. He's not got a great cardio. He's susceptible to submissions as well, as Marcus Aurelio found out and Kenny Florin found out. He can get submitted easily. Not easily, you know what I mean. Hasn't really, he hasn't fought too much, so I think there's a bit of ring rust as well, so hopefully he'll be more prepared for this fight. His last 5 fights, he's had 2 wins and 3 losses. He's fighting Tyson Griffin, who's 5'6", he's got a 14-3 record. Tyson Griffin is a really solid fighter, well-rounded, got good hands, got wicked cardio, which I think will kill Gomi. He's like a mini Randy Couture. If you watch what he does, he just does exactly what Randy Couture does. But, with a little pap, 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 and you go to the centre and bounce, pap, 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 pap. Does the same thing as Randy Couture. And his last fight was a loss to, who did he lose to? Evan Dunham. I didn't see that happening, but it did. And his last 5 fights, he's had 3 wins and 2 losses. I think for this fight, I'm going to pick Tyson Griffin. Or as much as I want Takanori Gomi to win, to have a Japanese fighter win in the UFC, I just want Gomi to win, just to bring up the Japanese pride in the UFC. You know what I mean? I don't see it happening. Griffin's going to outlast him. I was going to think he's going to do him by decision. But yeah, should be a good fight anyway. But those are my picks. As I said before, follow me on Twitter with the same username, chokewho. Subscribe, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, leave some comments. That's it. And I'll have my UFC 117 picks up later on this week. But anyway, peace.